I saw the river of water of life in heaven, but I wonder where did the water come from? There were fountains of living water everywhere, but there was no plumbing. In heaven there are no bathrooms. In none of the houses I saw had bathrooms. You don't have to eat. And if you did eat, you don't have to go to the bathroom anyway. You don't even need to take a bath. You just don't have to in heaven. Some of the fountains of living waters were the size of a city block. Some of them were almost a crystal, you could see right through them. They looked like ice, but were not. They were some kind of crystal. The figures in them were alive and they moved. At another fountain, there were hundreds of people standing around watching. The water turned hundreds of different colors and flowed down over this beautiful mountain with trees. The water squirted up into the air and came down in a mist over it. The mist clung to the trees like tinsel does on a Christmas tree. It sparkled. Yet, the trees on the mountain were the most vivid green and other colors. The water wasn't like water we have here, and yet it was. It was water, but it could do anything you wanted it to do. It turned into ice that was not cold. There were sheets of ice on the trees that were dazzling. I could not tell where the water drained. There were no pipes in the ground. There is no electric current, but there are lights everywhere. Big chandeliers. No shadows. Nothing in heaven casts a shadow. The light is even from every direction. The Lamb is the light thereof. There is no shadow, no variableness, no shadow of failing in heaven. We have shadows here because things can fail here. Things cannot fail in heaven. They are set for eternity. James 1:17 Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. KJV There are thousands of fountains in heaven and they depict different things. One I saw had a statue of Jesus holding a pitcher. He was pouring out the great big pitcher and glory was coming out. The glory was falling on little children and grown-ups. They had their hand up wanting a drink. The statues were somehow alive for they moved, yet they were made out of stone. I could see Jesus in the distance and the image of him moving in a fountain right in front of me. How does stone live? And Jesus looked at me and smiled. The closer I got to the throne, the greater the wonders were. I saw Jesus coming my way. I stopped and the angels stood at attention and backed away from me a couple feet. Then they bowed low, backed up and stood at attention with looks of adoration on their faces. Jesus walked in my direction and I fell on my face like a dead man. He stopped a few feet from me and I remember looking at the nail holes through his ankles and his feet. They shone with a light from the inside of beautiful, beautiful Jesus. He suffered this for me. I had no words. Evidently he touched me and I was able to stand. I did not feel worthy to stand or to look at his face. He reached out his fingers and lifted my chin and said, "Son, look at me. I love you. Even though you have been disobedient and haven't done what I have told you to do, I still love you and I desire for you to tell my people about this place called heaven. I desire for you to tell my people the glorious things that my Father has made for them that they might want to come here. I have chosen you and ordained you for this one work above all others that I might speak to you on this day of these things." He took my hand and began to walk with me like a father would a little child. We walked a little further down the street and he said, "I have many things to tell you. I will come to you again in just a short time. I have something else to tell you, but right now, there is more for you to see. More for you to witness and experience. Tell my people I am coming soon. I love them." Then he gave me a big hug and kissed me on the cheek and said, "I love you, too." He held his hands out in front of me and I saw his palms, the nail scars in his wrists and his hands. The wounds were open, shining with a beautiful light. I saw my name written in his hand, carved almost like a knife had carved it. "See," he said, "your name is carved in my hand." I knew then what that scripture meant. Isaiah 49:16 See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands, your walls are ever before me. Then he looked at me again and said, "I have more to tell you later." Again he said this. And he said, "Go with the angels. They are going to take you to see more people and see more things. I have an appointment and I have to go. My father wants me. I must go. I am always obedient to my father." Suddenly he was gone. He just vanished out of sight and was gone. In a fraction of a moment I saw him off in the distance walking and talking with people going toward the throne. 21 The other place come. My father wills you to see the other place. Immediately, I had dread and did not want to go. Jesus looked at me and said, "There is no disobedience in heaven," and I was ready to go. I knew that because I was with him, I would be perfectly all right. Jesus picked me up and carried me like a baby. There was no give to his body, hard as steel, all-powerful arms, strongest being in the universe. Instantly, we descended into a gray, nasty stench like a rotting carcass. I buried my face in his gown. "You will not want to see." And I was scared. I had both arms around Jesus' arm. We descended to a flat area. I was at the gates of total destruction. Everything that heaven is, hell is the opposite. There were gates as big as the gates I saw in heaven. They were a black material. I remember stairs. And there were hideous beings as tall as the angels that guard the gates of heaven. They were grotesque. Some cartoon figures of demons approach how hideous these creatures were. When they saw the master, they screamed in horror. And there were flames of punishment. I felt the doom and despair. I heard people crying out. Demons take people and torture them to the same level of pain they are in. People are naked. There was no one there who was not old enough to know what sin was. There were no babies. Jesus told me to tell people what I saw. "I want you to tell others of this place and warn them that unless they are washed in my blood, unless they are born again, this is where they will spend eternity." There were demons all around, screaming, screaming, screaming at the very presence of Jesus. They could not stand to be in his presence. They would scream and run in terror. There were people begging and pleading with him to get them out of there. He would not hear them because their judgment was fixed. I cannot describe everything I saw because it makes me violently ill. I don't want to remember. But I can tell you there is absolute horror. When you die, you have a spiritual body. The spiritual body that you have has exact properties that your physical body has when you are alive. But, you are a spirit being. Yet, all physical senses are there. I saw people there that were walking skeletons with flesh of some kind hanging off of them, rotting off of them. Maggots, and the smell was unbreathable. People are raped. Serpents eat and digest parts of people and the people are restored and it happens again. Demons tear people apart. I saw people ripped apart. Parts of their bodies were hanging on boulders and rocks and the demons would take the parts and eat them and pass them through. And then the body was whole again for the process to be repeated. A young girl had hot coals forced in her mouth with demons mocking, "You really thought you were getting by with something." There were bunches of people in small cages that were on fire. People are put in small burning cages that are dipped in a lake of fire, but the body is not consumed. The bodies are never consumed. They were half skeleton, half beings. Demons poured liquid fire on people. There were what was like coal pits burning. People had cancer with all its pain and suffering forever. One man had a rotting arm. It took 100 years to rot off. Then it was restored so it could rot off again. There was a man with part of his head blown off from war. He had to keep looking for the rest of his head. I saw the lake of fire with people in it bobbing around. Every torment you can imagine is multiplied 1,000,000 times. There are degrees of punishment in hell. Those who are punished the greatest, knew the most and didn't do what they should have done. I thought of Hitler and I thought of God's justice. There is a hole. In the bottom of the hole there are chained demons. When they saw Jesus, they screamed out, "We're coming to get you." Jesus said, "No, you won't." There are pits of hell that are now empty, empty waiting for whole nations. I saw more women than men in hell. The women scream in horror at each other. It is dark and there are demons and serpents everywhere. The demons inflict more pain than they are going through themselves. Isaiah 66 verse 24. And they will go out and look upon the dead bodies of those who rebelled against me. Their worm will not die, nor will their fire be quenched, and they will be loathsome to all mankind. Then I saw the place reserved for the devil and his angels, flaming, slimy, fire over his head for 1,000 years. The lake of fire had depths that got worse and worse and worse. Son, you have fulfilled what God wanted. We ascended to the platform again. I asked, who am I going to tell? Tell others about a place called heaven and the other place, the place of separation. He took his hands and turned my face up into his, one hand on either side of my face. He bent my neck upward so I had to look directly into his face. He said, "Don't ever forget how much I love you and what I have done for you. Never forget how much I love those that you are going back to and the place I have prepared for them and how much I love them.